We'll just give it another minute just to see if anyone else joins. But thank you all so much for being here today. I'm so excited to cook together.
Thank you.
Okay, just give me one moment and then we'll get started. Okay, everybody, let's get started. So, welcome. Like I said, so happy that you could join today. This morning, we're going to be making a bean salad, bean dip, salsa. You can call it anything you want. It just depends how you want to eat it. The recipe that I'm going to be following today is one that I got from my sister. It's actually a recipe that she makes for all of our family gatherings, or she did before COVID, because it's been a while. But it's kind of one of those recipes in my family that shows up at Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, birthdays, you name it, because we all love it. It's very simple and delicious. It's very healthy. And I was really excited to discover in this cookbook, so this is called Yum and Yummer, Greta Podleski, I hope I'm saying that right. She has a nearly identical recipe. So I'll talk a little bit about the differences, but if you love this recipe, this would be the cookbook recommendation to go along with this recipe. Things that are healthy, simple, real food, very flavorful. This is a great cookbook, and this is a great recipe. So where Greta's recipe is a little different than my sister's is that she adds celery, green pepper, and parsley as well, whereas my sister just uses the red pepper. Greta's dressing is also the tiniest bit different. She adds Dijon mustard and lemon juice, but otherwise it's very, very similar. So here's a picture of Greta's recipe. Ours will have a little less green in it because, of course, we're not going to add the green pepper or the celery. Greta is one of the Looney Spoon sisters. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the Looney Spoons cookbooks. They were very, very popular, I want to say in the early 2000s in Canada, and they were a pair of sisters who wrote all these very healthy, but very flavorful recipes. The one sister has since gone on to become a dietitian, and Greta wrote this cookbook solo, but she did dedicate it to her sister, which is really lovely. So yes, we have this book at the library, and I highly recommend it. I've made lots of great recipes from this book. Okay, so let's go through our ingredients quickly. So I have 3 cans in front of me. I have black beans, I have canned lentils, and I have a can of corn. I had a question before via email prior to the class asking, could we use dried lentils instead? I've never made the recipe that way, but absolutely, if that's what you have on hand, give it a try. The only thing I really like about the canned lentils is they're a little firmer. So I see a question. The question is how much lentils to use? That's a great question because I'm using a can. Oh, someone's come. Let them in. So this is maybe do a cup of lentils, Michelle. Yeah, 1.5 cups. Okay, I was close with my guesstimation. So yeah, try a cup of the cooked dried lentils and see. And if you want more, then you can always add more. I would do it that way. So okay, so we've got lentils, beans, corn. I have a red bell pepper, and I have green onion. My green onions are looking a little sad. But that, after all, is the spirit of this class, is using up what we have. So I'll peel off those sad outer layers before we get started. For the dressing, we just use apple cider vinegar, any kind of oil that you like. I like a neutral tasting oil. This is safflower oil, but if you had vegetable oil, even a mild olive oil, that would be great as well. And I usually make this recipe with white sugar, and I really like it that way, but unfortunately I'm out of white sugar. I do have this fancy raw sugar that it's bigger chunks, so I'm going to try that. But the Yum and Yummer recipe uses maple syrup to sweeten. So if you wanted to use maple syrup or honey instead, as an alternative to white sugar, that would work really well, I think. Okay. In terms of tools, I have measuring cups, my measuring spoons, some bowls, a big spoon, and my can opener. And of course, my knife and cutting board. Caught it. Okay, any questions before we get started? Great. And if anyone has a question at any time, just speak up or write it in the chat and I'll read it there. Okay. All right, let's do some cooking. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut up my pepper. My favorite way to cut pepper is, I guess it's not really cutting it, but my favorite way to get the seeds out is to just pull them out by hand. I find that's easier than trying to slice them out. Sometimes it leaves a couple seeds behind, but if you just bang on the side of the pepper, the seeds will almost always all fall out. See, now my pepper's all cleaned out. Actually, there's hardly any seeds in this pepper, which is kind of funny. Sometimes I'm just gonna pull that off. I'll pull out this white bit. It's not because I can't eat it, but because it's just not very pretty. Tap out the seeds. Okay, and now I'm gonna dice up my pepper small, so tiny, even squares. This recipe usually appears at all my family gatherings, and it gets served as an appetizer. We eat it as a dip on top of tortilla chips, and it is absolutely delicious. But if you wanted to make it the base of a meal, it's really good if you add a can of tuna, or if you just eat it on the side, like it's a great picnic salad as well. Also, taken leftovers and I have put them into tacos, which is really delicious. So it's called a bean dip. It's really a bean salad, salsa. It's however you want to eat it. No matter which way you eat it, it's tasty. Okay, because I think of this as a dip to serve at a party, I want my peppers to be really small and even. Oh, there's a terrible fly. Oh, that's one thing I don't miss in the winter. So I want tiny. I usually chop up my peppers about that size. Okay. So first half's done. And I find it easiest if I want a tiny dice to just slice the pepper very thin. And I want to be really careful. I go slowly. Once I have them in a thin strip, then I slice that into the cubes. My pepper dicing is getting less tidy as I go on. Losing patience. Okay, and I will send out the original recipe by email. Actually, as soon as I'm done posting this, I will also post it in the group chat. Sorry, my dog is crying. I think that the mailman must be here. Hopefully he doesn't start barking. My apologies if he does. One of the joys of working from home. Okay, so now I'm going to take a big bowl. That's where I'm going to mix everything together. And I'm just going to put my peppers into the bowl. Okay, great. I'm just going to wipe off my hands over here. And then I'm going to post the recipe in the chat for everybody so that you can see it. Sorry. Oh dear. One moment, please. I'm just going to put this doggy outside. Sorry about that. Okay, so you have the recipe. So the recipe actually calls for the dressing to be boiled, and I just skipped that step. I just mix it together. So that's all we're going to do today. So now let's open up our cans. Doesn't matter what order. I'm just going to open up the can and drain them. I usually would do this over the sink. I don't want to keep away from the camera, so I'll just do it in a bowl. And I've got my drained corn, and I'm just going to dump it in with my pepper. All right, makes sense. And then I will repeat for my lentils. Black beans, actually, because the liquid they in gets a little cloudy, could do with a rinse. So I will rinse the black beans before they go in. Oh dear. Okay, this has happened to me before. This brand, this brand of beans, Selection brand, it's labeled just plain lentils. And then when you open the can, it's mixed beans, which really annoys me because that's not what I bought. But like I said, I have had this happen before with this brand. So I guess beware that it could happen to you as well. Okay, well, those are things I definitely want to rinse. I'm gonna make a salad with those beans. It looks like I've got a mix of peas, beans, black-eyed peas. They're fine. They're not what I like in this particular dip because I like the texture to be really even, but it'll definitely still be good. But if I was making this for a party, I would be really put out. Okay. So you see the black beans kind of have this thicker, I don't know how to describe it, water that goes in. So I'm just gonna go with those rinse over it. Okay. let's add those to my bowl. Set this aside. All right, I'm just gonna give this a stir. It smells great already. Okay, thing is, I'm going to chop up my green onion. And like I said, these are looking a little sad, so I'm just gonna peel off the outer layer. Okay, and this recipe, you can use, I would say the dark green part and the pale green part. We don't want a ton of the white part because that will add a little bit more of a bite, but we want this to be mild since we're eating it. I'm straight into the bowl. Okay, so I've got a little bit of that was 4 green onions. Gonna add them in. But like I said, a little sad, so I'm gonna do more than what the recipe calls for, which is I think 5, because they're not gonna last very long, and because I'm really only getting half of the onion out of each one. These I'm just slicing thin. And there we go. Okay, this looks lovely. There we go. I've got some more colors and textures than normal because of my surprise can of beans. What are you gonna do? And but it still looks very bright and colorful. Okay, so now let's make our dressing. So I'm gonna use another bowl just to mix it up. Oh, I should also point out the recipe does call for garlic. So now would be the time to chop up your garlic and mince it fine. And we're gonna add it to the dressing instead of putting it right in the bowl. I don't like to use garlic in this recipe. It's really tasty, but I can't eat all of this in one go. And I find in the fridge, the garlic flavor becomes a little bit more pronounced. That's just me being a picky eater. So I would encourage you to definitely try it with the garlic. And if you find the leftovers have too much garlic flavor, then you can leave it out next time. Like I said, please try it that way. Don't follow my bad example, but I'm going to omit the garlic for mine today. But now would be the time to peel and mince your garlic. Okay. Once you have your garlic peeled and minced, it's going to go into the bowl with your dressing, which I will start making. We're going to start with half a cup of oil. I certainly have eyeballed this recipe before, but because we're making it more precise. And then I need 3/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. I have a 3/4 cup measurement, so I'm going to use that. But obviously, standard size. I just have this one that has a 3/4 cup measurement. Okay, and how much sugar do we need? Half a cup of sugar. I'm going to use, I don't always use the full half cup either when making this recipe. It just depends on how you're going to be using it. I don't think it needs it, but I'll get close. I'll do almost a half cup. And again, that's just preference. If you like on the sweeter side, definitely go ahead and add the whole half. Okay, and now I'm going to stir to dissolve the sugar. The original recipe, like I said, it calls for you to boil the dressing, and the purpose of that is to melt the sugar. I don't want to dirty a pot, so I'm just going to stir. Because I'm using this thicker sugar, maybe it's not going to dissolve as nicely, but I'll do my best. If you are using your garlic, now's the time to put the garlic in. Just add it into the dressing. Okay, and then I actually forgot to get out my salt and pepper, but they're right here. Just gonna add lots of salt and pepper to taste. Right into the dressing. You can always add more later. So if you're not sure, always better to start with less and then you can add it later on. Stir. Sugar is mostly dissolved, close enough. And now I'm going to add this. And give it a good stir. Great. This recipe is so simple. I think we're done. Let me double check. Yep, we're done. That's all you have to do. Okay, so now I have this lovely bean salad. Like I said, I could take this to a party and serve it with tortilla chips. It would be a great salad to bring to you like a summer picnic. It makes great lunches for the week if you're packing a lunch, or if you just don't want to have to think about it in the middle of the day. So I hope you all enjoyed this recipe. I hope you all had actual lentils in your can and not random mixed beans instead, like I did. Do we have any questions before we sign off for today?
I just wanted to thank you again, Laura, for all your help.
Oh, you're so welcome, Katie. I'm so glad you're enjoying the classes.
I am, yeah, thank you.
Great, nice to have you again. Okay, well, next week,
You.
we're going to be doing a vegetable soup. Registration's already up on Eventbrite, or you can just email me directly for the link. If you have a preference between 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., please let me know. And if you have any specific recipes you'd like to make in the future, let me know as well. Okay?
Good.
Thanks,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. All right.
Have a
Bye.
good day and enjoy your bean salad.